Today's voiceover talent is more than just a pretty voice. Today's voiceover talent has to be a boss, a VO boss. Set yourself up with business owner strategies and success with your host, Ganguzza, along with some of the strongest voices in our industry. Rock your business like a boss, a VO boss.
Welcome, everybody, to the B.O.S. podcast. I'm your host, Ganguzza, along with my beautiful, lovely co-host, Gabby. Hey, Gabby.
Aw, thanks, Ann.
Gabby, today we're going to talk about insensitive clients and how to handle them. And how to handle them. I'm sure all of us have had something to do with insensitive clients.
Hold on. Give me some room. I got plenty to say here.
As a matter of fact, you told me a story the other day, Gabby, about a client who was a little bit insensitive. Why don't you tell us about it?
Sure.
And what you did to handle it.
So, really funny. So I've had a client now that I've worked with for quite a few years. They come back to me every holiday season for a lot of stuff. This is a big client, too. This is like not, small time stuff. This is major brand name, household name company. And they came back to me for a series of ads and, everything was going great. I think there were 9 spots total in the order. And on the 9th ad, they said, Gabby, this, the funny part about this is, so this is like third person in that the words came directly from the client through email to the agency, and the agency actually forwarded this to me. I don't know what they were thinking because, man, did they supply
email?
No buffer. Yeah.
Oh.
So they supplied no buffer, hey, let's, kind of cushion this a little. No. So they threw me like onto the stake and sent me this email, and it said, Gabby, we really like what you're doing with all the other spots. In fact, we like them so much that we want to let you know that we're going to be expanding our usage of you and adding even more commercials, and moving forward in the new year, we think we want to start using you year round. So I'm like, hey, yay, that's really great. But then they say this. In this particular spot, we'd really love it if you could sound less wheezy. Yeah, you heard that.
Wheezy. As in George End wheezy?
No, as in wheezy.
Oh, my gosh.
And
Moving on up.
Yeah. So I am utterly and completely flabbergasted. I'm just so gobsmacked. I don't even know what to do with this email. And I just sort of let it sit there, and I stared at it, and I'm like, what? Because initially, of course, like all your defenses go up, right? You're like, because that's such a personal thing. I mean, it's such a bizarre
it's your voice.
Comment.
It's your your delivery.
Exactly.
And so when they go they're going right for the,
Yeah, I mean, it's literally like, let's just go ahead and attack the way you make your living. Yeah, I took a minute to kind of, separate myself from it. And initially I thought, they can't possibly mean this the way they're wording it, because I'm like, there aren't even breaths in the ad.
Yeah.
Right, there's no breaths. There's literally no breaths in the ad.
What does wheezy sound like? That's what I want to know.
Know.
What does
that was
wheezy
it.
sound like?
I have no idea. I'm still at a total loss for what they meant by that. So I sort of composed myself and I said to the agency, okay, well, let's go ahead and give this another go. I said, it's definitely a little bit concerning. In the meantime, I spent the entire night and next day obsessing about this piece of information. What does this mean? What is this? How do I fix this?
Oh my
is
God,
this something that's happening and I don't know this is happening? Do my agents know about this? Do people know that there's something really, really wrong with my voice and no one is telling me? Why is no one telling me? Why isn't Ann telling me? I have friends in this industry. Somebody tell me what's going on. I mean, it was just this.
Oh my gosh.
Hysterical, brain hijacking of awful thoughts.
I'm going to tell you, I have a story that's kind of similar. They didn't actually say anything directly about my voice, but I was having a directed session in the booth. And, you know, you do take one. They're like, okay, so I really want it conversational and natural. And, you know, like you're talking to your best friend. And so I did the take. And then silence. For a few too long seconds. And I was like, oh my God. Immediately went right to my head, oh my God, what's the matter? Okay, you know what? Can we try maybe I'm going to need you to pick up the pace a little bit. And what about a little bit more smile? And so literally I did a second take. And then after that, it was like, yeah, no, I need more energy. And so ultimately they took me from being conversational and natural to pretty much an infomercial kind of, you know, cell sound. And it was so funny because at the beginning, they're like, no, like you're talking to your best friend, but they ended up directing. And each time I did a take, I was more paranoid than the last because I was like, oh my God, how was that not conversation? You know, I do this all the time. Is that not conversational? And maybe nobody's telling me. You're right. Exactly. How come nobody? Oh my God, that's it. I suck.
Yeah.
I suck.
Yeah.
I can't. And then you're in the middle of like frantic in your head, and then you're trying to not let that affect your performance, which is almost impossible, you know, because when all those thoughts are racing through your head, and then you've got to look at the copy and then be even more conversational, or whatever they're directing you to do, you've already got self-doubt that is like pounding at you.
And it's so funny because I mean, on one hand, we have to acknowledge the truth of this, which is what we have been told many times as voice actors, but I don't think a lot of folks do a good enough job of clarifying what the hell it actually means. When we say a client doesn't really know what they want, this is that example of them not knowing what they want. So they say all kinds of weird, stupid things and give us really strange direction. And then
strange direction, Gabby.
Yeah.
It sounds like it's a new pilot, a new series.
It is. It really is.
Strange direction.
They don't know. And so I still, I have no clue what wheezy means to them. None. I don't think I ever will. I don't think I will ever have clarification on what the hell that was. But what I do know is that, so for all my obsessing, right? I mean, I remember sitting down to dinner with my husband that night, and I'm like stabbing a piece of meat, just going, wheezy, I will show you wheezy. You know, I mean,
I'll give you wheezy.
I'm telling you, when I say obsessed, it would not leave. Well, a couple hours after we ate that night, I check my email, as I usually do in the evening, and I get an email from one of my other agents telling me that I booked a massive job, something even larger than this first one. And it's something that's actually airing right now, which is kind of cool because I sort of want to talk about it on the podcast because it's so related to our brand, which I love. I'm the holiday 2017 holiday whatever voice for Office Depot Office Max.
Woo.
And so that was the email that I got telling me that I booked the campaign and, you know, they're really excited to work with you and all this great stuff. And I literally remember looking up at my husband and going, hey, so I booked Office Depot Office Max. And he goes, that's great. And I said, yeah, not bad for Wheezy.
That's right. Not bad for Wheezy. You are moving on up. You are moving on up, VO Boss Girl, Gabby. Good for you.
And that was the next, that was exactly where we sort of ended up spinning the whole thing. We kind of turned it into a joke where he goes, yeah, you know, maybe they went Wheezy like Wheezy Jefferson, you know, moving on up. And I'm like, I could work with that. So what's the point?
Well, I'm going to say,
partially,
I love how you were talking about how at dinner it affected you, you know, hours later. I mean, days later. The same thing, honestly, happened to me. And I know that I'm quite sure it's happened to a lot of our listeners, too, when they've gotten that confusing direction or that that insensitive comment about their take. You know, what do you do? I mean, number one, I think all of us, it's human nature to just obsess almost, at least for me and you and our stories. I mean, I literally, like, it affected me, not just that session, you know, and then when I was done with the session, I continued to say to myself, oh my God, so, all right, they said okay, and that they took that, you know, that was a good take, but did they really mean it? Because, you know, it took them a long time before they, you know, they said okay. And so what does that really mean? mean? And then, oh my God. And then literally for hours afterwards, maybe for another day, I obsessed about, oh, that's it. I suck. I'm not going to get another, I'm never going to work again. That kind of thing. And I just, it affected me. It affected my whole business, because I allowed it to inject itself into my psyche. So, guys, know that this stuff happens to all of us, right? And I think it's human nature for us to just take it to heart, because it's such a close personal attack of what it is that we do and what makes us professionals.
How could we not take it to heart? It's the core of this thing that we do, that we have poured ourselves into. Yeah, we can say all day, every day, oh, it's just business. Don't take it personal. It's just business. Yes, that's true. But then there's a moment, and I don't know any voice actor. Yeah, it crosses
it's like a criticism of your craft.
Right. And it's not constructive criticism either.
Right.
I remember years ago working with a voice actress, very talented, very skilled, bilingual voice actress, born and raised in this country. So her Spanish was secondary is the wrong word. She simply was not a native Spanish speaker to a country of origin. But she still spoke beautiful Spanish, beautiful English. Well, she was in a session one time and was working with a male voice actor, and he had the nerve to look at her at one point and give her his business card and say, yeah, if you ever want to work with somebody who, is an authentic speaker, let me know.
Oh, man.
And you go, what in the world? So
wow.
Things like this happen, but usually I think we're able to sort of brush them off when it's external. Mm-hmm. We're able to brush it off when it's from somewhere else. Like sometimes, I don't know, maybe you have a slight regionalism from where you're from. Like I know I do, and Anne, you do. We're Northeasterners.
Absolutely.
We can't change that. So, every once in a while you may get somebody who goes, oh, where are you from? The Northeast, I can tell by your accent. And, they don't know that's going to make us cringe.
That was so neutral.
Yeah. Right. Right.
That was very neutral. What do you mean?
Yeah.
What about
we get
Gabby,
defensive?
What about when people just don't say anything? Sometimes I'll even obsess over that. It's kind of like the job was there and done, and I got paid, and then all of a sudden it's like I hear nothing. And then I wonder, and I'm like, I wonder if it was okay, or if maybe they went out and got a different talent afterwards. But once in a while that will hit me too, because I've heard little feedback or no feedback.
Yeah, I can't tell you the number of times I've been in a session, I do a take, stand by.
I know. And then they're talking.
And you sit in silence, and the only thing you can hear, because I don't know about you, but this happens to me all the time, the only thing I can hear is my own blood running through my temples from the headphones.
They're muted.
That's it. So it's just boom, 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 boom. Boom, boom. And I can actually hear it getting faster the more paranoid I become, because they're taking so long.
And especially if you're remote directed in your booth. Or God forbid you're actually in a studio and you see them on the other side of the glass conferring and talking. And in reality, they might just be talking about lunch or, their daughter.
Yeah, I don't even look. I start playing with lint on my clothes or something, just to distract myself. But then all of a sudden they come back and they go, all right, we're good. Thank you. You're released. And I'm like, I'm a human being. And that's it. And it's just and the line goes dead.
You are the talent. You are the talent, Gabby. Sometimes that is, a lot of times I've actually been called the talent, and that to me is like, oh, God, I'm Ann. Hi. Ann, nice to meet you. And
I remember.
Thank you. Or they're rushing out. They're rushing, and I'm like with my hand outstretched, going and they're out the door. Yeah. Okay, nice to meet you. Bye. You know how you can do it? It's like a fit. It's like that high five kind of thing where you kind of got your hand up in the air and they've already disappeared.
I remember the very first time that I was in a directed session and they said, you're released. You can go.
You're released.
And right, and
if you were in a
panicked.
Prison.
Well, I don't know why, but in my newness in the industry, I thought it meant they were literally cutting me loose. And so I called my agent in a panic, and I'm like, oh my God, they released me from the job. They hate me. They released me. And they're like, no, they just meant you're done. You can go. Bye.
You're finished.
And like, there I am holding the phone, like going, oh, so they're still going to pay me? Yes, it's fine.
I think, Gabby, the takeaway of today is, number one, I think a lot of times when clients seem to be insensitive, it's because, number one, perhaps they don't really know what they're looking for. Maybe they don't know what direction, and they don't know how to, maybe they haven't directed people before, and they don't necessarily know how to clarify what it is that they're looking for. And so, really, you have to just try to you have to play a game. I have to play a game with myself so that it doesn't ingest itself into my psyche. Because when that happens, you never know how it can then tumble and, gain momentum and really affect your performance, because that's what you want it not to do. I mean, you want it you want your head to be clear.
And that's really takeaway number 2, which is do not be reactionary.
Yeah. Do
not immediately react. If I had reacted instantly to that word, wheezy, bad things would have ensued. I could have potentially pissed off the client, pissed off the agency, pissed off my agent. It could have had a whole trickle down of negative actions and reactions simply because I failed to see that A, they didn't mean anything by it, and B, they just didn't know any other way to express their thoughts.
Right. Yeah. They didn't know the right word.
Right. But if I was reactionary and flew off the handle about that comment, I could lose the whole account. There it is. Bye-bye.
Oh, absolutely. I think that one thing that I've done, I always try to do immediately. Even I try to prevent those types of things from happening because I know that it's going to play with my psyche and I'm going to get all freaked out. So what I try to do is I always invite the person, if they're not, to do a live direction with me, a live session with me, because a lot of times if they're trying to explain what they're looking for in an email or with a link to a YouTube, it's hard. I want to give them exactly what they're looking for. And I am amenable to be giving multiple takes as well. So that if I'm in a live directed session, but I certainly don't want to have to do a job and then, oh no, that's not what we meant, and then have to redo it. And then you have to get into the other component of that, which is, okay, so I've done the job, I should be paid for the job, and now you want me to do it again. So that introduces all that. Should do charges, are there charges that are going to incur? So I always try to just nip it in the bud, invite them to come and, direct me live in a session and give them multiple takes.
Yeah. I love that. I think that's a great idea. And whenever you can push a client, or not push, but massage them in that direction, that's a great thing to do. And I think lastly, it's just, guys, know that you are certainly not alone in this. If you have experienced this, if you have ever had a client leave you feeling like maybe I should just pack it in, no, you're not alone.
Exactly. I'd love to hear your story, actually. I think you guys should
yes.
Email us, call, send us an email or give us a ring. And we'd love to have you on the show. Maybe you can recount your experiences with us, because it's happened to everyone, guys. Yeah. So it's okay. You're not alone.
We have this fabulous thing called IPDTL, our wonderful sponsor. We can go ahead and three-way link up with you and hear your stories live. We can actually have
more than 3, Gabby.
I know we can. Isn't it limitless?
IPDTL is
it's
amazing.
Crazy.
It really is.
Yeah,
I think I think in my connection I can have up to 8 that I can direct myself.
Oh,
which
nice.
is so cool. And we all sound like we're in the same studio. That's what's so amazing. Yeah. That's why I love IPDTL. And you can find out more at ipdtl.com.
And for more on the podcast and all things B.O.S. and me and Ann, you've got a plethora of options. Please like us, friend us, and give us your support. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and of course, the VOBoss.com website.
Yes, you can find out all of our links, all of our social media on VOBoss.com. And you can check out our VOBoss University classes and products, which are building up as we speak. So we've got a lot of things to offer to you guys, so be sure to take a look at that. And don't forget to send us your questions, send us your experiences. How was a client insensitive to you? We'd love to hear.
Thanks, guys. Have a great week.
Thanks, guys. Kick butt.
Join us next week for another edition of B.O.S. with your hosts, Ann Ganguzza and Gabby Nisterko. All rights reserved. Ann Ganguzza voice talent in association with 3 Moon Media. Redistribution with permission. Coast-to-coast connectivity via IPDTL.